All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC's Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I am your tour guide around the SWAC, C. Wells, coming at you. And we're going to talk a little bit about the transfer portal today. Not going to talk a lot about it. I mean, it's a topic that's been covered, multiple angles and multiple ways. But I just kind of wanted to look at the numbers, where we stand so far in terms of players coming into our schools from the portal. So I'm going to kind of chop those numbers up a little bit and talk about that. But before we do that, man, y'all make sure y'all hit those socials: Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, and comment. And thank you so much for subscribing already. If you already subscribed, thank you. If not, then go ahead and hit that button. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this, man. Like I said, this is not gonna be a long video. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Just wanted to kind of touch on this because, like I said, we talk about the transfer portal a lot. This is football based. We talk about the transfer portal a lot. Everybody talks about it. It's like the thing now. Guys coming, guys leaving. So I kind of just wanted to sit down and look at the numbers and see where the players that are coming to our schools, what level they're coming from. So I used Hero Sports. They have FBS to FCS transfer portal list and a FCS to FCS transfer portal list. So I use those two lists to compile the numbers for this. They don't have one that shows guys that go into D2 or lower. So if anybody is going to those places, I don't have any numbers on those. And this is like as recent as I think like Monday or so. So I threw in the couple guys I know that went to that transferred to other schools like yesterday, late Monday. So we're gonna start off with the FBS to FCS numbers. We'll go through those, and then we'll do the FCS to FCS numbers, and then the total, and we'll kind of just talk about my thoughts on all of this. So on the FBS to FCS transfer portal level, Alabama A&M has 6 players come in. Bama State so far has 2, Alcorn 3, Bethune-Cookman 9, FAMU 15, Grambling 12, Jackson State 10, Valley 1, Prairie View 1, Southern 4, Texas Southern 2, and Pine Bluff 1. That gives us a total of 66 players that have come down from the FBS level. Of course, that's multiple different things. That's guys coming from P5s or P4s, whatever you want to call it. Group of 5 as well. So that when you look at the numbers, teams like FAMU, Jackson, and Grambling, and even Bethune-Cookman, they were very, very active in getting FBS guys to come down. Just kind of looking at some of the guys that are going to those schools. Bethune-Cookman has a guy from Arizona, Arizona State, Cal, Pitt. I'm just looking at the Power 5 type guys. They have 4 guys from that level coming in. FAMU, they have, like I said, they have a ton of guys. So they have Florida State, Michigan, Nebraska, Pitt, and Vanderbilt, and they have a ton of guys. They have like 3 guys from USF, a guy from UCF, 2 guys from FAU, and a guy from FIU. So they were really active in the state of Florida with their transfers, more so than anything. And you see that a lot in a team like this, being able to get guys out of your state, guys who can contribute. When you look at Grambling, they have 3. They have let's see, 4 guys from power. 5 guys from power conferences. Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Virginia. Then the rest of their guys are like AA, AAC guys and a couple Conference USA type guys. So they kind of have a mix as well. And those are the teams, along with Jackson State, who has been really active in the transfer portal the last few years. They have Iowa State is their only P5 guy, and that I'm not saying power guys are better than G5 guys. I'm just kind of splitting it up. Most of their guys are from the G5 level, which to me, guys from G5 level really can thrive on this level. So those are the 4 teams that were really, really active. on the FBS level, you have teams like Valley, Pine Bluff, and Prairie View who only have one guy. Alabama State with two. So those teams were less active on the FBS level, and that's neither right nor wrong. However you look at getting guys, that's all good to me. Like I don't have a preference. Of course, you get guys who've already been on FCS level. They can kind of understand, what it takes to play on this level. But getting guys coming from the Power Five level might come with a little bit more. It really all depends on the guy himself. If he's played um, on that level, then he's gonna bring you some nice experience from that level. A guy who hasn't played yet is, basically the same as a guy coming in from anywhere else. So, having a guy who's been through a lot and played snaps, um, that's to me is more important than anything, especially where the guy comes from. I know a lot of people love to see guys come from the power schools. They get really excited about that, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes those guys don't work out, and it can be a guy that comes from like ULM that balls out for your team. So it's not necessarily the fact that you're from a power school automatically means you're going to walk in and be great. It happens, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case all the time. Um, when you look at the FCS level, um, things are well, things are a little bit more. Um, they're a little lower at that from FCS to FCS. There were 35 total guys that transferred in from the FCS level. And again, this is a list that's compiled by Sam Herder on Hero Sports. He may have missed a guy or two here or there. Guys might have transferred in the last couple of days. So these numbers aren't concrete, but they give you a good idea of what to work with. Alabama A&M has 5 guys that have come from the FCS level. Bama State 4, Alcorn 1, Bethune-Cookman 2, FAMU 4, Grambling 2, Jackson State 6, Valley 5, Prairie View 4, Southern 1, Texas Southern 1, and Pine Bluff with 3. They just picked up a guy yesterday from FAMU. So you look at it this way, a lot of the teams who were really active on the FBS level weren't as active on the FCS level. Those 4 teams, Jackson State did get 6 guys. FAMU got 4. So those were 2 of the teams who were really active on the FBS level, and they were the most active on the FCS level, along with Bama State and Prairie View and Valley. Valley was very active on the FCS level with 5 guys. Then you had teams like Alcorn Southern and Texas Southern who only took 1 guy from the FCS level. Although I want to say though, for Southern, I want to say that's missing a guy who just came in, but they may have already put him on here. Yeah, so actually Southern has 2 because they didn't count the kid that transferred in from McNeese the other day. So as I said, these lists are fluid. But when you look at that, I think more teams go for the FBS level transfer. Almost twice as many guys have come from the FBS level than have from the FCS level, and that's obviously you got 85 scholarships on the FBS level. You got 100 plus guys when you count walk-ons and stuff. So there's way more guys trying to go somewhere and find a spot from that level when you only have 63, and you can have up to you can have like 100 guys on an FCS team, but that's still a lot of guys looking for spots from the FBS level, and teams tend to kind of go more for that. Although if you get a good guy coming from the FCS level, then I think you're good. Now I will say a lot of guys, not all, but a lot of guys who do transfer from the FCS level are guys who have played at least some snaps, so that kind of gives you some experience coming in. When you look at the total numbers, 101 guys have transferred into the SWAC this portal window. Alabama A&M has 11. Bama State has 6. Alcorn with 4. Bethune-Cookman with 11. FAMU with 19. Grambling with 14. Jackson State 16. Valley with 6. Prairie View with 5. Southern with 5. Texas Southern with 3. And Pine Bluff with 4. So as you can see, the teams who were the most active all had more than 10 guys come in, and there were 5 teams that had double-digit transfers in. I would love to find a list of guys who transferred out. Maybe I can work on putting that together if I can find it and piece it together. But they, when you look at it that way, those teams have been very active, and the teams who aren't active, that's not necessarily saying that they're doing things wrong. You know, to me, there's no right or wrong approach to the portal. I think you do with what you need. You know, a lot of these teams, and you look at it, Bethune-Cookman is a coach coming into his second year. Jackson State coach coming into his second year. FAMU new coach. Grambling coach coming into his new coach. So those teams have been really active trying to stack their rosters. Alabama A&M is really the only team with double-digit transfers that has a long tenured coach, but they've been bringing in double-digit transfer guys for the last few years, so that's kind of what they do. But when you look at Southern, Texas Southern, Pine Bluff, those are teams who have a new coach or a coach that's coming into their second year. Alcorn as well with a new coach. Valley as well. So those are teams that kind of still are fleshing out their roster. That some of these teams haven't made all of their moves yet. You know, the teams are steady watching. I mean, the portal is closed itself, but plenty of guys are still in there. And so, now teams are looking to fill holes. I mean, you look at a team like Pine Bluff, they were talking about bringing in 10 to 11 new guys. So, these numbers are going to change throughout the summer as we move through the summer toward the fall camp time. You're going to see more guys coming in from other places because teams are still trying to fill holes and stack their rosters. All in all, to me, there's no right or wrong way to handle the portal. Now, I'm a person who I feel like 60-40 portal to high school. I just like I just like to have a guy coming in who has been through the college system at least for a year. I do prefer to bring in guys with multiple years. I think you get more out of it. But, if you just got a hold of Phil and there's a guy who got 1 year that's played, then I'll take that. I don't really want a 1 year guy who hasn't played. I'll take a multi-year guy who hasn't played and have time to develop him. If I'm getting a 1 year rental on a guy, I want him to be a plug and play. So to me, that's the biggest difference. If I see a guy transfer in, that's been out of school for 4 years, he hasn't played a snap, maybe limited snaps. I'm not saying that the guy can't be good. I'm not saying he can't contribute. But for me, I prefer a guy with no stops to be a younger guy that I can mold to my system and get multiple years out of him as he gets better over time. I still think high school recruiting is important. I'm never going to slam the door on that. Some people feel like you should just go all in on the portal guys and, whatever with high school, because I still think high school should be the foundation of your roster. Now when you can bring in a guy that can step in and play right away, you got a hole, you don't have to put a freshman in there, unless that guy is just can't be kept off the field. I think it gives you more leeway to build your team up. I know the theory and the feeling previous years was the portal isn't sustainable. I think it is. I just don't think that it's sustainable if you just went heavy on 1 year guys. If you constantly are using the portal to get multi-year guys to fill holes, that can help you a lot building depth. The only problem is, when you do that, sometimes you're cutting the legs off of younger guys, which in turn sends guys to the portal, and it's like a cycle. So I think it's a balancing act, and that's why I said like 60-40 for me. I think that's the best way to do it. I just feel like being able to increase your roster and getting more experience. I think it helps a lot more than getting a guy and having to wait a couple years for him to develop. Especially, you can get some offensive line guys who played on the FCS or either level who played and understand, what it takes to play college football at that position. I think that helps, and then you can bring those guys along behind them. So I just wanted to kind of share some of these numbers. Like I said, I didn't want to do a, a super deep dive because it's still a lot that can be can go into this. You could look at the production of guys coming in. You can look at the schools that they left. And it's always guys transfer for a reason. It's not always negative, although it can be, but it's not always negative. A guy looking for playing time is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if he's behind a stacked depth chart and he's young. He wants to get out there and play. A guy who's been passed up on the depth chart, it sometimes can be dicey, but coming down a level might help a guy in that situation as well. So it's really all up to the coach and the culture that you bring, that you have, getting guys to buy into what you're doing and understanding that this is not a last chance you type of thing where you come in and you on your way out the door. This is your last step before you are out of football, and you just coming in to do whatever so you can play. I think if you can build a culture of winning and developing guys, I think that goes a long way with having guys come in through the portal. So that's gonna do it for today's show, man. Like I said, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with SWAC Smoke live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and I will catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.